Hey, Howard here at 82 Maple, and just about ready to get fired up here in Kelowna. Got the Norwood all relocated, also got the little wood miser edger relocated. I've got some bins of bits and pieces here that I have to organize a little better, but here's what this video is about. One of our subscribers wrote me a note it was one of the first of the Norwood HD 36 videos, saying that he was having trouble. He couldn't keep a blade on for a full cut. And I just thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to just go through my entire blade alignment process. So I had a pretty good blade on. I think I'd sharpened it once or twice, but just because I'm getting going and I don't know what I haven't fully debugged in resetting this up, I decided to minimize the opportunity for variables, and I put a brand new blade on. So here, to the subscriber that wanted to know how I set up my blade, and anybody else that's interested, I'll also provide a written step-by-step description below. So let's get started. So I've just located the blade on the wheels here. It hasn't been tightened, none of that. So what I do is I go over to the tightening handle and I loosen it off pretty good for when I'm putting the blade on, and I just give it okay, so it's just starting to tighten there. I go half one, half two, half three, spin it back until it's loose, because I just want to take any opportunity for like just a settling in on the V-belts, get rid of that as a variable. So now spin it again till it stops. Okay, I'm starting to get tension right there. Okay, half one, half two, half three, half four, half five. That's my new blade setting. I've tried everything from 4, which would give me waves, and my cuts today are going to be 6x6s that the builders are waiting on, or the renovators are waiting on, for a beam and 2 uprights, plus some other bracing pieces that we're going to put up along the ceiling in the log house. So 4, 4.5 would give me waves. The blade will dive, the blade will take off upwards. I was having issues with waves after I was set at 5, and I talked to somebody that had some knowledge around Norwoods, and they suggested I take it all the way up to 7. 2 problems with that. Number one, I'm really fearful for what that would do to the bearings, but there was a very significant and unavoidable consequence. Blades were breaking on me right at the weld after 2 sharpenings. And that just, if you talk to anyone about these blades, they should be good for easily 4 to 5 sharpenings, even doing Douglas fir. And that's been my experience since going to 5. I keep track of my blade inventory. Each blade is numbered. I put it up on the wall. I tag it when I bring it in for sharpening. And after it's been sharpened, once, I'll go to 5 1/4. And after it's been sharpened twice, I'll go to 5 1/2. And I don't go past 5 1/2 all the way till I throw the blade away or it breaks somewhere beyond the 5th sharpening. Okay, let's move on to some other steps. I've already greased both of these wheels. I do that every time I take a blade off and sharpen it. Now, I had already checked my settings here, and I have a little ratchet, and this is actually crazy glued on. This is my ratchet and Allen key for moving this in and out. I'm set up pretty good. I'm jumping ahead. Let's back up here a little bit. Let's come look at where this is now sitting. So I've got a tension of 5 on it. I'm going the direction of the cut. What's going on here? So I've given it a full spin. The blade has made a full round around the wheels. This is going to be tough to pick up on video, but the gullet, which is the bottom trough here between the teeth, is out a good 1/8 of an inch past the edge of the wheel. You talk to 10 people, 10 people will have a different opinion on how to set stuff up. But when I set it with the gullet completely flush with the wheel, not with the V-belt on the wheel, but with the wheel, I have success. And at least in Douglas fir, I don't get diving and I don't get climbing. So how do I go about adjusting this? So this is the starting point here. Or in my sequence at least. So if we come around here, there's a bolt that angles the wheel like this. So we want the wheel to be running square, and so that wheel, I need to bring the blade back. So I literally took a permanent marker and I turn it clockwise to bring the blade back. I turn it counterclockwise to push the blade out. That's easy. I can deal with that. Okay, I want to bring it back. I think it's about half a turn. So we'll give it a try now. Send it for a full around the world here. Boy, that is so close. The gullet is maybe a little bit out in front of the wheel, but before I make a final adjustment, I go to this wheel, so I'm not working against myself. You know what? That gullet is just a little behind the wheel. So I haven't done the same permanent marker on this side. I just know that I was pushing the blade, pulling the blade back. This one has to be pushed out. I flick my ratchet to the other position. I'm going to give it a little more than an 1/8 of a turn, not quite a 1/4 turn. Just from experience, I think that should do it. That is bang on. That gullet, I don't know how it's showing up in the camera, but I can tell you with my finger, that is right on, close enough for me to the edge of the wheel. Again, we may be suffering some camera distortion. That's why I'm telling you what it feels like. Now, around the world again. Again, you want to do this so you're not working against yourself, adjusting something down there. It actually is going to affect something here when it goes all the way around. Can't spin the wheel enough. It's maybe, I call it a titch out in front of the wheel, but it's good enough for me. I'm not going to play with this thing all day. So we're good. Now we're going for the ceramics. That's, other people do it in a different sequence. All I can tell you is what works for me. So, look at where my gullet is compared to the ceramics. This thing is likely going to dive or going to climb now. So, that's no good. What we will do is pull this out a little bit. It is not wanting to play nicely today. Again, this has been sitting for a bit, and that might be what I'm fighting. It literally has not run for 4 months, and I've never had that before. So I want this ceramic just, I'm about a 1/16 of an inch off the gullet there. So now, give this a little tightener upper. Again, we get movement on this one. This one's on the movable arm, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the guide I'm going to get from that. Now, I can see, and the camera is not going to be able to see, but I can see my ceramic back here, and it's about an 1/8 of an inch off the back of the blade. I run it that way. I'll even go to 3/16 or so, and typically my whole tool setup is not set up properly yet, but I have a little 1/8 inch Allen key that I will actually run behind there, in and out from here. So it goes between the blade and the ceramic that is mounted through the back. So I'll take that little Allen key in there, but we can tell right here from watching the gullet, in proximity to that, I've got about 1/8 of an inch. There it's sitting normal. That's full stop back. I get really good results on Douglas fir with that setting. Now, let's look at this one. I'm about 1/8 of an inch back. You know what? Let me just check my play. Yeah, I'm about 1/8 of an inch there. On this side and a new blade, I'm actually good with that, having that 1/8 of an inch. These two settings do not need to be identical, but this one here is going to be fairly far out, and it has a tendency to kind of push back, so I'm really happy with my setting there. This one isn't enough to worry about fiddling with. Now, last part. This is the good part. Back off my ceramics. That little guy just wants to fall right out, which is why I keep a board here for my tools and my ceramics. And I'm using a Robertson screw here, and it's coming to the end of its life. Fortunately, it'll take a straight blade. It'll take either. Okay, we got that. Going to loosen my top ceramic here first. Loosen my bottom ceramic, and I think, yes, will that take a straight blade as well? I've got to get a whole new, I think they're 3, I won't even try and tell you what thread it is. It's a machine thread. And that one's loose, but not falling out. So what I do is bump the blade up and down. These are sitting, I'm seeing their movement. They're moving freely. They've fallen down onto the blade. There's nothing binding the blade, so I can tighten these. Tighten both tops first. Okay, we're still good. Touch it just to see if it's bouncing. No binding there. The Robertson is going away on me there, Robertson head, so I'm just going to straight blade it to finish it off. I did have 1/4 inch head screws, and I found that I would just put a little too much torque on it with a little ratchet like this, and I actually stripped out a head. And it just doesn't need that much tension. It just somehow, when I get a ratchet in my hand, I tend to over tighten things. So now to the bottom. Oh, that was my one that wanted to fall out. Never want to lose those things. They're pretty pricey. And I just put it up. I just take and just touch it with my finger. I couldn't distort it upwards if I wanted because I've tightened my top first. So I just take and tighten that right in place, and then I check. Okay, got a little bit of play. The book says you should have the thickness of a sheet of paper, which is exactly what I did the first few times I did a blade. Now I can do it by feel. It's sitting square. I'm looking at the head. It's sitting square. It's a teeny weeny little bit off. So I take a screwdriver through here and I just bump this a little bit. Okay, based on experience, I know I ended up with the right result. It's sitting square. I'm looking under the blade. Again, I'm picking up things with my eyes that the camera isn't, but it's square to the ceramics, and we're good. Now, let's not forget about this guy. Same thing. I suspect with hardwoods and other things, one might want to be a little more particular, but with Douglas fir, you know what? I'm going to end up with some completely square 6x6s, and the next cut after that is going to be the mantle, the new Douglas fir mantle for the house. I'm really confident in these settings. I don't think I've missed anything critical, and we're off and running. Thanks for hanging out. 82 maple, keeping all these fingers, keeping these 2 thumbs. Let's do it.